She is truly one of a kind. She's a legend in terms of people that know her around the province when it comes to her work in the social studies field.
Well, first of all, I would say she has a passion for social studies and current events in particular. In the old days, I mean, she would go through the newspapers and find out, what was current and make up, her assignments based on that. But she's always been very willing to go the extra mile to research and to find out, the cool tidbits about history and to really bring that to life to the kids.
You walk into her classroom and you see the amount of time and effort she puts into providing a great learning space for her students. She's a wealth of knowledge and expertise that she shares with her classes.
I know that there was discussions when I was in high school about, does Ms. Kruhlak do this? Does Ms. Kruhlak do that? Yeah, I think she does, and now that I'm actually working here, yes, definitely. She purposely does all those types of things that make her lessons that much better.
And the students just really appreciate all the hard work that she does to help them get better in what they do. And it's her knowledge in the field that is remarkable, that no one can even hold a candle to that. And when she comes in, she makes students feel like she cares and does whatever she can to make them feel like they're important to her.
She is just an incredible educator, and when your kids recognize you for that, I think that means maybe even more than when. I'm not saying that when your colleagues recognize you, that's important too, but when your students are recognizing you for that, I think that's probably the biggest compliment in this profession you can get, and her students think that of her.
Oh, she's definitely a mentor teacher that even with my own children, if you talk to them about teachers that made a difference in their lives, she is definitely one that comes up time and time again. She not only teaches them but touches them to become better human beings. I know my oldest son, Jordan, still talks about her and how he has a passion for social and politics and all of that stuff because of the change that she made in him when he was going through her classes. And
I think you've got an incredible legacy of kids that have gone out and know more about history and are probably more, I guess, into maybe current events than maybe they would have been had they not been graced by your presence. So that's something that I think you can take into your retirement, knowing that you've done your job and you've done it incredibly well.
I went into the teaching profession because of social studies. I loved history, I loved geography, and really what do you do with that passion other than teach it?
Pretty cool because she taught me all 3 years. She taught my wife in high school as well, and believe it or not, she also taught my wife's mother social studies too, so it's pretty cool to see just the longevity of Rosie's career there.
So I started teaching in 1977. I was 21 years old. I looked all of 14, so of course on went the heels and the makeup. My first teaching position was in Mayerthorpe. They called it Mudthorpe. I was warned to take a pair of boots up there, and I did, and I'm glad I did. And there was more of a distance with student teachers back then. I mean, that was 40 years ago, right? But I do think the kids were wilder. Like now with their cell phones, they're almost like they're sedated. But classrooms, especially that last block of the day, they'd really be hopping. After my first year at Mayerthorpe, I did get my continuous contract, which is kind of crazy. People wait for years now. And at the end of my 2 years, I got my permanent teaching certificate. I liked Mayerthorpe, but it was about an hour-and-a-half drive from the city, and I didn't have my car yet. And so I just quit, which is kind of silly, no prospects. But that summer, Mr. Trombley called me up on the family farm and asked for an interview, and then I moved without a beat to Legal.
I'd been there a year, and then she came afterwards let's just say a few years ago. She was Rosie Ryle in those days. And of course, she came with an immense wardrobe. And as today, everybody was jealous of her lovely wardrobe. And she came in as a social teacher. And I think that's pretty much her career, is teaching social.
Over the years, I'd say my colleagues have been my best friends. In Legal, there were a group of us called the Workroom Wonders. And I know it kind of sounds dweeby, but we sat around and we worked. We had these big tables.
And one time there was a jump rope for heart event. So we decided that we would enter a team called the Worker Wonders. So we all dressed up like super women, Wonder Women, and we did our jump rope for heart event that day. And that stands out as a real fun memory. And of course there's staff parties, but I'm not going there. I'm not going there because she'd probably hurt me if I told you some of that.
So I've enjoyed that over the years, that feeling of camaraderie, and probably that is what I will miss the most about the teaching, is it's having a sense of belonging to somewhere and a sense of purpose. When I really enjoyed Legal School, and it was from a K-12 school, but the numbers started to decrease, and so by 1993 they made the decision to shut down the high school. And we were actually our own school district. We had split in the late 1960s, and Thibault, as Morinville was part of then, actually took me for Vanier School for grade 5 position. And that's where I was first introduced to Sandy Blackburn, because she was the grade 5 teacher.
It was a bit of a shock for all of us the first time I walked into her classroom and saw the displays and bulletin boards, nothing that we had ever seen before, which she still holds to today. You go into her classroom and it's an event, definitely.
A lot of teachers really decorate and go above and beyond, but I mean, Rosie's room it's a shrine, it's a temple of history and people of the past, and there's no doubt about it that Rosie's is that next level. So
I'm not going to miss the 20% rule in our classroom, that's for sure. I don't have to worry about that one anymore. I always get questions on that.
I do remember one time after school she was putting up a bulletin board, and we had a shelving unit that it was maybe 18 inches wide or 2 feet wide, and she was standing up on that to put some stuff up, and she took a step back, and of course what happened is she fell right off the shelf, and I think she broke her arm that time, but all for the cause of decorating her room.
Well, I just think of Rosie as little but mighty. Our little mighty Rosie. She would tackle them all, and she always had a good comment for people, whether it's was letting them down gently or just lifting them up. She was always very careful how she did that.
When I think of Rosie, I think she is just a little spitfire. She's a going concern. She knows what she's talking about, and when something is not quite right, she'll make it known.
Spunky. She is a spark plug, that lady. Unbelievable how much she goes.
Hall of Fame teacher, like fantastic, one of the best in Alberta, one of the best in the world.
Stylish, engaging, loves her students, love what she does, and I think even though it's time for her to move on and she's ready to move on, I don't know that MCHS is ready to see her go.
Nose to the grindstone, and look out, I'm working and I'm doing the best I can do.
Well, the biggest thing I think is, you don't see Rosie very often, mostly because she's shorter than everybody else in the school. The funniest memories of Rosie are always in the staff meetings, I think, when she talks about how she had those great meals for ATA. Hey? It's like, what? You get a meal for that?
I would say that Rosie, in one or two words, she is incredibly professional, and she is one of the most hardworking people I've ever met. There wasn't a time, lunchtime, after school, before school, Rosie's always marking and making things and correcting things, and her bulletin boards in her classrooms. It's unbelievable how hard Rosie works.
Feisty as hell. Rosie. Small package, but holy crap. Look out when she gets going.
One thing you probably don't know about Rosie is she's not so cool, calm, and collected when it comes to our computer. Many times I have witnessed her calling our computer, "Come on, you piece of shit," she'd say. That was my favorite Rosie quote.
So I know this is very hard for my colleagues to believe, but in the day, I was the technical go-to person. I was the Gestetner queen. I could splice a 16 millimeter film like Jack the Ripper.
I've always enjoyed talking with you about everything. Work, politics, our boys, the state of our country and the world, travel, changing times, attitudes, the weather, global warming, etc., etc., etc. But you know, I don't think we've ever discussed where, when, or how often you go shopping.
Rosie is our fashion diva. We love Rosie. We love to see what she's wearing daily. I love to watch her walk down the halls, depending on what shoes she has on, because that girl always has a cool pair of shoes.
I don't look at age appropriateness, which is probably a bad thing. So I'm 61, and if I want to, I'll wear that bikini. I guess that's not good. Partly I do have a lot of clothes. I mean, I've lived long, and you don't wear them that much, so you can recycle, and if you keep your weight at relatively the same size, right, then you get away with a little more. But I do like fashion. In retrospect, I think I would have liked to have been like on a movie set and be the historical go-to person.
Rosie, you have been a woman that all the women on the staff have always been so envious of because of your amazing attire. Your wardrobe, which I did get to see once at a party that you had, is incredible. I don't know how many closets you have, but your clothes, the kids always tell me that Rosie can go an entire year without wearing the same outfit. And your shoe collection is something that I am so jealous of. I wish my feet were smaller because then maybe we could share shoes.
Well, let's just say that when she retires, I'm sure the shoe industry, especially those that create the platform heels, are their sales are going to go down tremendously if Rosie is going to be in flip-flops from now on. Although I wonder, can you put heels on flip-flops? Probably can.
And to Rosie, my fashion mentor, if a woman can do it, so can a man, even if it's more casually than you. I will carry on the tradition of trying to wear different shirts every day of the year. And that one comes strictly from Rosie Kruhlak. So thank you, Rosie, for inspiring me to do what you set the bar so high to do already. So
I always appreciated the things that she dressed up in too, whether it be Halloween or things like that. Dressing up as Napoleon Bonaparte is a good story. I think that's always good to see, and trying to act like him, that was always fun.
I'll never forget you dressing up, I believe it was as an AWAC. For World War II. You were dressed up all in your costume for your World War II, telling what the women were doing for the war effort. And also when you came to school dressed as Cleopatra. That was a really good one too.
Rosie, the things I remember of you is your desk. Unbelievable. Where did you get all the Elvis cards? I don't know what it's with you and Elvis, but hey, I hope you find him in the future.
Elvis has a velvety voice. Like, I know he was kind of a little quirky, right? I've been to Graceland. I've seen that jungle room. I don't know what he was thinking. But when I listen to his voice, it just takes me to a different dimension. So that's why I like Elvis. But I don't have like a shrine to him or anything like that, like people might think, because people do.
So we'll just take a tour of her desk. Rosie is renowned for her cards, as you can see. She's a huge Elvis and Marilyn Monroe fan. And this is the highlight of anybody that comes into the staff room. They see these cards and they're just drawn to it.
What else about Rosie? I know earlier this year she slept in. She slept in and we had to call her. And she used some pretty colorful language that she don't usually use, which was kind of funny to see. And she ended up coming late, and she tells me, Don, this will be a stain on my record for the first time in 39 years. And I'm like, no, Rosie, it's not going to be like that. But it was kind of cool to see her panic a little bit because she's pretty calm. She has a very cool demeanor about her. So it was kind of interesting to sort of see that for sure.
One thing I do want to say, though, is there was a group of kids who have graduated. It had been Mark Swerda's group, so however long that was. They wanted to tour the school, and I think it was 2 years ago now. And the one classroom they wanted to go to was Mrs. Kruhlak's classroom. They had to get in there. So that tells you a story. All those years later and how much impact you've had, Rosie has had on this group of kids and all the kids that have gone through her room, through the walls of her classroom, through her words and her wisdom and her storytelling. what an awesome opportunity for a kid.
Well, Rosie, get ready to get busier and busier. You think you're busy now? Not even close. You will find lots of things to keep you busy. But just to, take the time to enjoy the people who mean the most to you and the things that you really love to do. I know that social studies has been your passion, but you'll find a new passion, and don't be afraid to meet new people and go out and volunteer, get into new things, and just, like I said, get ready to be busy.
Rosie Kruhlak, it has been an honor to work with you for so many years. I wish you all the best in your retirement. Thank you for all the things that you've passed on to all of us here at MCHS, and I truly wish you a tremendous amount of success and joy, and have a great time in your retirement. You've certainly deserved it and earned it. Thank you.
Good luck in retirement, Rosie. You deserve it. I wish you all the best, and I hope to see you around here. It'd be great to chat with you some more.
Enjoy. Good luck. I'd love to see your closet. Maybe one day I will.
Rosie, all the best in your future. I hope you and Walter have nothing but fun times. Hope you enjoy the wedding this summer.
I'd just like to say that you're the classiest and best dressed lady I know. And I believe that everyone here would agree that you're retiring in style.
I'd like to thank Rosie for our 3 boys came through our school system, and it's such a treat to know that we have people like Rosie that care so much about our students, that your kids have the opportunity to have a teacher like that. So I'd like to thank Rosie for that. And as I say, I'm going to miss my little Ukrainian friend and future Baba, I'm assuming, Rosie. So enjoy retirement, enjoy Walter, and take the world by storm. I'm sure you will, Rosie.
Rosie, goodbye. We're going to miss you. Please come back and visit us.
Rosie, hey, sit back now, enjoy. I know you've got a sister or a relative in Palm Springs. Head down to Palm Springs, put your feet in the pool, and sip on a nice, cool drink.
Rosie, I wish you lots of happy times in your retirement. I know you probably won't have to use your computer very much, which will suit you just fine. I'm really going to miss you. I'm going to miss our chats that we always have on our prep, and I wish you all the best.
I just really wish you the very best, Rosie. We've had a lot of fun. That year when we did the Millennium Club, that was one of my favorite years. And coming to your house and Walter dressed up as Santa Claus and just all the different memories. I love that you can sit down and have a glass of wine and share stories. And really, you always made such an effort to come to the different events that we had when it was girls' night and whatever else. And I just really hope that you're going to be able to enjoy that retirement now that you don't have to run around marking all the time and chasing after kids and assignments. But it's been a real pleasure to work with you for, well, I think it's been about 18 years now, and I'm really gonna miss seeing you and guessing what you're gonna be wearing. The few times I've seen you wear pants, and that one time you wore those running shoes, that was a day that we'll never forget around here.
Well, I've always wanted to usher in the summer solstice with a garland of flowers in my hair, dancing half naked around a fire with flames that leap up to the evening sky. So I've missed it because today is a summer solstice. So I'm going to try that next year, even if it's in my own backyard and neighbors can call the police on me. I'd also like to go through my cookbooks. I probably have about 40 of them. I'd like to fatten up Walter, I guess, but some of them are low fat, so yeah. And then the usual, the traveling, I'd like to keep learning. That's right up there. That is the one enjoyable thing about social studies. I honestly, that first paycheck I got, I mean, I was expecting it, but I just felt as a teacher, I was still the student, still learning one step ahead of the kids in those days, and the paycheck was a bit of a surprise. It was like getting paid for university. That's kind of how I thought that. And I think to the end, I still thought that. There's always something you can learn in social studies and pass that on to the students.